This episode of the Golf Gaming Podcast on the Sports Gaming Podcast Network is presented to you by Underdog Fantasy. Play Underdogs, pick them for a chance to win 100 times your money with promo code SGPN at UnderdogFantasy.com for 100% deposit match. Plus, we're also brought to you by Hall of Fame Bets, the sports betting research platform for parlays, player props, and game lines. Download the Hall of Fame Bets app or visit HOFBets.com. Use code SGPN to get 50% off your first month and start making smarter bets today. And we also got a NASCAR gambling podcast, and they're going to do a free Daytona 500 contest for a chance to win $100 in cash and $100 in SGPN gift card at sportsgamingpodcast.com/Daytona. All right, DJs, welcome back. It's your boy, Boston Capper, with the god of golf himself, Steve Schirmer. We're coming off a rough Super Bowl, but we have a very special guest to hopefully put us on some winners this week, Mr. Joe Idone. Joe, how you doing, buddy?
Good. What's up, fellas? Good to be back in the saddle with you guys. Yeah, sorry to hear about the Super Bowl weekend. Wasn't great for you guys, but hopefully we'll get things rolling. We'll get some picks out there. We'll build some lineups and we'll crush the Genesis, right?
Yeah, I like it. We've been close. We almost had back-to-back live winners. Steve's had at least 2 seconds. I had Burns, who completely fucked me on 7 through 9 last week. Yeah. So it's been close. Like, it's right there. Like, I know it's coming.
Yeah,
right there,
I've had to update my personal golf pain rankings twice this year. Almost had to add a third with Pebble Beach when God canceled the tournament. I had Ludwig, but didn't quite beat out what happened at the Sanderson after Mac Hughes got 2 TIO reliefs to beat me there. But before we get to the golf and everything, why don't we talk about our own golf game? Joe, congratulations on your recent hole-in-one. Very good. Why don't you tell the audience? Give us the rundown how it happened.
Yeah, so I didn't see it go in. It was a long par 3. It was in a club tournament that I was playing in. Really, the story I think starts on the hole before, as I was in the side of a bush and backhanded one because I couldn't get in there because I'm right-handed. So my only option was to either just pick up and concede the hole or try to like flick a 9-iron out of the side of the bush. It was like a foot in the air. Got it to the fringe, hold like a 45-foot putt for bogey to like win some money on that hole. And everyone is like, this is your day, man. Like, that doesn't happen. Next shot, hole-in-one, first ever one that I've had. Didn't see it drop, sort of pulled up to the green. I didn't really believe that it went in. I knew it was pretty good, but I'm like looking around the back of the green on the cart path, like kind of searching for a ball, and then check the cup. There it was in the hole, baby.
Yep, there you go. I mean, it's almost like everyone wants to bag on Michael Block when he was playing, like, hey, did it go in? Go in. But listen, I mean, like, your experience hitting a hole, that was my experience too. I'm like, no, you guys are just shitting me at this point. Yeah. I'm looking in the bunker, I'm looking in the rough and everything like that. And nope, it's just right at the bottom of the hole there. So congratulations to you, sir.
Thanks,
what was your bar bill after the round? After when you had to buy?
We racked up a couple $100. The guys didn't hit me too bad. And then I actually found out that the place I was playing has like a pool, right, where they bill like $5 to every person a year. So the course covers the first $250 of your tab when you make a hole-in-one.
Oh, sweet.
Which I thought was awesome.
Wow,
I'm like,
this
is fantastic. I found out after I was like $150 in. And the boys didn't take it too bad on me. It was like a Saturday morning. People had plans. They were getting stuff together for the Super Bowl. So yeah, it wasn't too bad.
Good shit.
Yeah,
I have not ever had a hole-in-one, so fuck you both.
That's all right. It's your time is coming, sir.
No, it's
Your
not.
time's coming.
Par threes are my enemy. That is no, it's never gonna happen for you, boy.
All right, we'll see what happens there. Well, all right, well, let's transition back to professional golf. And there's been a lot of complaining, I think, about Phoenix this week. Obviously, you had the fan chatter, you had the weather delays, you had ratings down 35%. But Joe, you're a really positive guy, so I don't want to really get you to negative town here. I know my co-host loves going to negative town, so I'm going to get him out of his comfort zone here.
That's not fucking fair. I love being positive. There's just lots of shit to be negative about, and.
That should go on a t-shirt. But Joe, why don't you say, what was one thing you liked about Phoenix this week?
Okay, so I love Phoenix. I think this event should not change. I think they should embrace it. I think the players need to change. And if that means that Zach Johnson and Billy Horschel don't play next year, I don't care. I would like to see them. I think a lot of the events on the PGA Tour are 156 players or whatever we get to is too many guys. When we get to this point where one little 1 hour frost delay is going to throw off the entire tournament, there's a problem. So I think that if we can narrow down the list of total players and get these guys out, if you don't want, if your interests are purely on yourself, it's got to stop. It's destroying the game. It's got to be what's at some point what's also best for the product, what's also best for the PGA Tour as a whole, what's also best for the fans, what's best for everyone is that suck it up and hit the golf shot. And I understand that their one shot could be the difference in hundreds of thousands of dollars for these guys, but every other sport, the players seem to deal with it without too many complaints. A guy's lining up to try to hit a free throw. People are screaming at him. People are going nuts all football game. And I get that that's not the common scenario that these golfers play in. But if you're going to show up to this event, which is a huge money driver for the PGA Tour and the best attended event of the entire year, deal with it. You know what you're getting into. I don't want to hear your complaints. If you do want to complain, don't clap back at the fans. Don't get caught on someone's cell phone camera looking like a pretentious asshole. Go to tour officials afterwards, make your point across, but don't do it there where you're going to look like an asshole.
Joe, that is almost perfectly said. They know exactly what the fuck they're signing up for when they go to Waste Management. And of all people, Zach Johnson, you know what you should have concentrated on? Less people heckling you and putting together a better Ryder Cup team. How about that? If you had done that, you wouldn't have got heckled by a bunch of drunk assholes. That's the bottom line. Listen, you're mad at yourself. Look yourself in the mirror like Stuart Smalley and realize that people don't like you and you suck at your job, Zach Johnson. My buddy was talking to me about this and he was like, oh, we got to change it. They got to cut off the alcohol. And I was like, you'll lose the tournament. It's going to be any other nondescript John Deere. The whole reason they go there is because it's it's the Animal House. And how much beer sales did they have over the weekend? It was fucking $4 million in fucking beer sales or something fucking ridiculous. Yeah. It is a money grab that's never changing. What really got it was this weather delay. You had a bunch of people sitting around for a couple hours with nothing to do, and they didn't turn off the beer. So you got shit-faced, and that's what happens. But yeah, they should not change it. Players need to change and realize what they're going into. And unfortunately, Joe, I don't think golfers of all fucking athletes, air quote, will change to care more about their sport than themselves because it's such a solo sport that it just goes against their DNA to give a shit about anybody else, especially the fucking fans, us peasants who watch.
Yeah. I've been seeing proposals of how they're going to change it, only do tickets for 16 and other tickets somewhere else or limiting beer sales. It just, the horse is out of the barn at this point. Look, I tend to fall on the side that I think some of these guys who come to these tournaments are just complete assholes and I hate some of the things they say, but the Phoenix Open, while I think it's kind of morphed from these fans used to be kind of smart about when to do all the rowdy stuff and when kind of shut up, it has gotten to a little bit of a point of all right, I just want to be kind of on social media with some of this stuff, jump in the bunkers, like that. Come on. But it is what it is at this point. This is the identity of the tournament. There's nothing really a whole lot you can do. If you want to limit beer sales, fine, whatever. But I think you're right. I think it's really on the onus of the players to just man up at this point and understand that this is just part of the deal. This is the tournament. It's one time a year.
Yep.
And listen, in every tournament, it seems like someone's talking at a backswing or a cell phone goes off. At least at Phoenix, it's kind of like a constant buzzing that you're just getting used to at this point. And it's no surprise that guys like Zach Johnson and Billy Horschel, who complain about literally everything on earth, those
humorless pricks is what they are. Humorless pricks. And listen, Billy Ho does a shit ton for around my area with food banks and stuff like that. So charitable guy, still a humorless prick. He takes himself way too fucking seriously.
Yeah, he does. It's a shame that kind of distracted from a really good finish between, Charlie Hoffman, who big long shot, one of the mules, and Nick Taylor, who suddenly is one of the superstars in the PGA Tour the last year or so. I want to transition to this. I mean, this has been kind of a rough start, I think, to the year of the PGA Tour as far as like winners go, and like, not a lot of star power. And maybe this is a transition to Riviera right now. Now we get a tournament where, there's, it's fairly difficult. There's a lot of history behind it. Usually the cream rises to the top. We're not going to have any weather issues, it seems like, in this one, unless that giant atmospheric river shows up a day early. Joe, do you think that maybe we're going to see a stop to this never-ending parade of 100-to-1 plus winners this week? Or do you think maybe that trend's going to continue? And if you do, I mean, do you maybe have a reason why you think some of these long shots just continue hitting over and over?
Yeah, I think it's going to end. I think we're going to get a big name winner, but I've said that. I said that at the Amex when the field strength was incredible. I certainly said that at the Farmers, that the cream's going to rise to the top and this thing is over. And it just keeps continuing on. I don't know necessarily. I don't know if it's a problem, but if it is, and it might be for like viewership numbers and things like, this people that invested $12 billion in the PGA Tour, right? They doubled the valuation from that summer. Do they want to see?
We can chat about that, Joe. We
Nick
can
Taylor
chat about
winning.
the
Do they want even Wyndham Clark winning an event? Like, there's no way that's in their bet. That's no way that's what's best for the sport. But I think it is also what is attractive to me in many ways about golf betting from the start. I think water eventually finds its level. It's been 6 consecutive weeks now of over 100-to-1. You have the best players on a golf course that is a difficult examination and should correlate well with the skill sets that the best players possess. They can hit their long irons the best. They're going to gain strokes off the tee. They have the elite distance that separates them from the bottom half of the field, particularly this week. And those should all be things that are rewarded. Now, are there some guys 100-to-1 and above that I can see potentially winning this thing? Yeah, there's a path to it, especially when the top guys that are up there, there's question marks that could be raised about every one of them. None of them are in this mode that John Rahm was at a year ago, where he won 4 events and he was, priced 5-to-1 to win golf tournaments. I don't think any of them are playing at that caliber right now, and they all have a bona fide weakness that has been exploited by these players who are lesser name guys who are taking advantage of an opportunity when it's granted to them.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think it's going to end this week. And I've been saying that for the last, I said it at Torrey, I said it at Phoenix, and it didn't happen. But I think now we're going to go to a golf course that really is going to separate the men from the boys. These greens are really tricky. It's the primary defense of this golf course. And, a lot of these top guys have played it over and over and over, and they know how to navigate it. And I think based on the weather conditions that this forecast is going to be right now and what certain skill sets it's going to lend to, I think it's going to, I think probably, I can probably cut off probably like 50 guys at least, 55, and then it's going to be basically top of the board.
It's only 70 guys in the field.
Well, that's another thing, by the way. So last year, and I got this wrong in the preview. Last year, they said this was going to be 80 with top 50 and ties. There's only 71 guys.
Yeah.
So, and it's not even just top 50 and ties make the cut. It's within 10 of the lead. I actually went back and looked in 2019. 68 guys were within 10 of the lead after the second round. So only 3 guys would actually miss the cut. So what's the fucking point of this thing?
Was there only 70 guys that year as well?
No. And I understand like it's a little bit different, but like
yeah, maybe 10 guys missed the cut, right?
Maybe.
Right. Like you're not like, what's the point? Like if we're going to get to the end of Friday and like 16 guys missed the cut.
Yeah.
Like, come on, this is really stupid.
And if you're 11 back, you're not winning anyway. So like,
no,
who cares?
So I don't know. That's just
they want that paycheck. That's what they want. They want that guaranteed money, right?
You see, I went to negative town. All right, 14 minutes on the clock there. 4 minutes. So. All right, why don't we take our first break and then let's start breaking down the top of the board here.
All right, so listen, we got to talk to you guys, like I said, about the Daytona 500 contest. Rev up those engines because NASCAR is back. Check out the NASCAR Gambling Podcast with Rod and Cody. Have you covered for all things NASCAR and racing, from trucks to Cup, Indy to F1. This show gives you the drivers to watch and the most profitable picks for the weekend and racing. Enter their free Daytona 500 contest for a chance to win a $100 SGPN gift card and $100 in cash. Go to sportsgamingpodcast.com/Daytona. That's sportsgamingpodcast.com/Daytona. And Underdog Fantasy, they got a way to play alongside all your favorite fantasy plays all season long. NBA, NHL, college basketball still going on, golf too. So simply higher or lower on your favorite players' fantasy stats to cash in, and you can win 100 times your money with some of the spicy plays. So watch along, make your picks, and make a little cash over to Underdog's mobile app or website, underdogfantasy.com. When you sign up with promo code GOLF SGPN, Underdog will double your first deposit up to $100. That's Underdog Fantasy, promo code GOLF SGPN.
Okay.
Well, before we jump into the Genesis, Joe's one of the most open-minded guys about Live, and I paid more attention to it the last 2 weeks. What have you thought about the last 2 weeks about Live? First of all, Steve hates that golf course that they played. I love it just for the plane that crashed for the FBI following Tony Spilaccio around. I will play that course in my lifetime and get a picture next to it.
Yeah, literally one of the worst golf courses I've charted ever. Just nothing to it, and it kind of showed on the telecast too. But
the plane makes up for it, Steve. The plane makes up for it. So what do you think? What do you think about what's going on with Liv? You think it's gaining any more traction?
I think it's all about if you're judging traction from Nielsen ratings or TV viewers.
No, that's not how to judge this.
It's not. I think the product is getting incrementally better.
I agree.
I think the coverage is getting better. I enjoy a number of elements about the coverage. I've come around to really, and I know some people don't, but I actually like the leaderboard. Some of the statistics that they show, I think, are great, and some of them are like,
bad.
What does this mean? Putts per hole? Yeah. Like, how is that predicted? Before every guy putts, they're showing you how many putts per hole he's had today and where that ranks. Like, it's obviously all dependent on how close the guy is. So some of the stuff is really bad. I think that I want to see him come back, man. I'm all for, and I like the players on the PGA Tour are really starting to bother me. Yep. They have this sense that they run the PGA Tour, and I don't feel like that is great for the PGA Tour, and I definitely don't feel like that's great for us as the fans or the growth of the sport. There's no official. There is officials, but they're in control of their own rules. If Rory McIlroy comes this weekend and says, "Hey, my ball is plugged a knuckle deep in this Kikuya here," you think this guy's going to challenge him on that? This rules official? They're going to let they're their own refs. They want to control who can and can't play in the tournament. They want to control kicking fans out or kicking fans in the environment that they play in. And them now coming out and saying that these guys need to be penalized coming back in. I understand their position, and I would feel the same way. But in my opinion, it shouldn't be up to them. It should be up to these people who invested $12 billion to put the best product out there and what's best for the fans and what's best for TV ratings and what's best for everything in the sport is that you let these guys play together more than 4 times a year. And if Rahm wants to show up to the Amex and it doesn't have a live event that week, you give him a sponsor's invite. Yeah. I said this, if Brooks always played the Honda. That's my hometown event. In 2 weeks, if Brooks wants to play the Cognizant Classic or whatever it is, and they say, look, you live 5 miles down the road, you played it 8 straight years, we want to give you a sponsor's invite, let him play. Like, they're just trying to control so much about the sport and the game. And it's unlike any other sport that I know, where you watch the football players on the field last night and they're guys that are in control of nothing outside of their own play. And I think that's how sport should be. And that's kind of what bothers me. And that's why I hope that they're able to come back together. Like, I just hope that they're able to allow these guys to continue to play their live events. But if they want to play 4 PGA Tour events a year, I think they should be able to do that.
No, absolutely. And this, I mean, I think the same thing, like with you with Brooks, with Honda, like when Cam Smith won, he didn't get to come back the next year to the Players. And that's my hometown event. That's fucking ridiculous. Like, and yeah, these guys do need to come back together. And I don't know, like, I get these guys being salty, but I don't understand why they're still so salty. Monahan stabbed them in the fucking back. Nobody did anything for them. The other guys listen, however you feel about it morally, they made the smart decision, business decision, period, end of story. You can't tell me otherwise. They took a fucking bag of money for almost nothing, and they might be able to just come back and play golf like they normally have. And if not, they still have generational wealth, at least the big guys do, and the other ones way more than they ever were made on the PGA. And the whole bend the knee shit that the PGA Tour pulls really fucking irritates me. Like you have to come kiss the ring to come play the John Deere. The John fucking Deere, this is what you care about? Like I don't know. I'm with you. It irritates me. Everybody needs to fucking be big boys. Come to the table, sit down, figure it out, fix the sport, because you look at the ratings, whether it's Live or PGA, the ratings will bump this week because Tiger's there, but Tiger's only going to be around for so much longer. And we are the least serviced fucking fans. And I know we're in an echo chamber and we are the hardcore weirdos about golf, but eventually the casuals will start caring. Who the fuck is this Dunlop? Who's winning? Fucking Nick Taylor. Who's that? Like when, it's going to start affecting at some point. When the olders who fall asleep and nap on Sunday, when they start going away, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we become the olds. I'm still going to be angry at 60 when I'm not seeing my golf shots. I'm not going to be one of these guys who doesn't care. You know what I mean?
But it's not like the players that stayed on the PGA Tour got
screwed,
totally screwed.
No, they got huge benefits, double purses,
huge benefits. The lesser, weaker fields, they're now included in this new equity stake in terms of the league, and they're all benefited from the fact that Live came about. And they're also like the good guys at the end of this, right? There are so many people that are still so like hot iron with the Live players. And I'm not here to judge anyone. If you hate them for taking the Saudi money, you hate them. And a ton of people do. Like I put out that tweet about Rahm. I was kidding, but everyone went after it because they want to attack these guys. And that's the reality of their life. Like they go anywhere, and maybe this is a microcosm of social media, but they go anywhere in life and they're judged for that decision pretty harshly by the majority of people. So the guys that stayed are the morally high ground people in the eyes of so many, and they're judged differently than these guys. They've incrementally benefited with higher purses, with less competition, now with increased equity stake, with being able to pick their own schedule, with elevated event series, with so many different factors. They've come out of this, even though they may not have taken hundreds of millions of dollars, they've benefited greatly as well, and should be a little bit more open to the fact that let's all come back together and play together. That's just my thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned the equity stake with these guys. I mean, if these guys really want their shares to get value and actually reach the $12 billion valuation, that I think is kind of crazy that they think the PGA Tour can get to, but whatever, they're smarter than me. They need John Rahm back. They need Brooks Koepka back. They need Bryson back. Because, Joe, you kind of alluded to it. A lot of these guys left on the PGA Tour don't really pull a lot of emotions or energy. And, my co-host kind of calls them milquetoast. And unfortunately, it seems like a lot of guys who took the money to go to Live are the ones that actually are polarizing. Even a Patrick Reed, I kind of miss his bullshit, during weekends every now and then. So, but I mean, yeah, but I think these guys, I think you bring up a great point. They need to just get over it. Probably, maybe a lot of them got an offer. They weren't happy with it. And, now they've changed their tune on it. But yeah, I mean, for the betterment of the game, they all need to come back together. And honestly, I'm not part of social media, so I'm kind of immune to a lot of this backlash. I don't know if it's nice that I've actually had to watch a lot of Live. I feel like at this point, given the players on there, I feel obligated to the viewers, at least, to at least know what they're doing when I talk about winning the majors. But I don't really get the sense these guys are just mailing it in. You should have heard John Rahm on the hot mic, that whole Friday. That was pretty entertaining. I was having a good time listening, but he clearly still gives a shit. These guys are caring if they miss putts and stuff like that. So they do have to figure it out. And Capper, you brought up a great point. The ratings suck for both. It is inferior products with separate. They need to come back together. And I really hope these guys just stop bitching and fighting about it and come to some sort of agreement soon.
Unfortunately, I don't think, especially some of these these asshats on the PGA who are sponsored by Goldman Sachs or, JP Morgan, and they think by wearing the hat they get osmosis on how to know about finance. I've heard these morons like speak like they know what they're talking about, and it's like the Billy Madison when he stands up there and the guy goes, "We are all dumber for sitting here and listening to how you just tried to explain this." Like the Spieth comments were asinine, like complete just asinine. Like, I don't know. He rubbed me the wrong way. And I typically like Spieth, but it just, I always have a bone to pick with these same swing country club guys. Leave
it up to the sponsor. To me, leave it up to the sponsor.
They hit a triple. Yeah.
It's their event. It's the sponsor's event, right? It's whoever it is. This week, it's Genesis. If Genesis has a problem with Saudi Arabia and the way that they run their government and the atrocities that they've done socially, don't bring the guys. But a lot of these companies, you would be very surprised that sponsor PGA Tour events are heavily in bed over there. Morgan Stanley, who's the premier sponsor of the Players Championship, was the first investment bank to sort of open up funds over there in Saudi Arabia. Coca-Cola, who does the Tour Championship, does all of their bottling and has a major facility right there in Saudi Arabia. These companies that are sponsoring these events have been in bed with Saudi Arabia long before these players went to live. So if they want to invite them and they want to accept the backlash for giving a sponsor's invite to Rahm, DJ, Bryson, and Brooks into their field, then it's not on the players anymore. Then they can issue that. Just like Chase Johnson is in the event this week. I'd much rather have Dustin Johnson, who's won multiple times there, bring him in.
Yes, 100%. And you said it right. And so it is so funny. It's like the people who are like yelling about the Saudi thing. Listen, I get it. Like, I understand why they're mad, but it's like they have no real worldview on how things actually work. Like, all these companies take money from different spots and things like that. I remember having to go through people's portfolios and being like, they wanted to have a socially conscious portfolio. And I would tell them what they would have to eliminate. Guess what they didn't want anymore? A socially conscious fucking portfolio. You know what I mean? Like, it's just how the world works. It sucks. It is what it is. And it's fucking golf. At the end of the day, we don't even make it a political statement on a fucking sport. And I know the sport whitewashing and all that, but at the end of the day, I'm a fucking golf fan. I'm a fucking gambler. And that's what I fucking care about. The way the world is now, I just care about my little bubble, protecting that. And that's it. I am fucking Woodrow Wilson. Fucking keep it in my borders and I will be happy.
That's quite the historical reference. I'm proud of you there.
Yeah, buddy.
There you go. All right. Why don't we take our second break and then let's finally get to the Genesis picks.
Finally. That was a great conversation, Steve. Anyway, Hall of Fame bets.
You win big. I'm not saying it wasn't.
By betting smarter. This NBA season with Hall of Fame bets, the sports betting analytics platform for parlays, player props, and game lines. You research every NBA and soccer bet with historical stats and data into any parlay idea into the Hall of Fame bets revolutionary optimizing tool to get hit rates broken down by leg as well as an expected probability for the entire parlay. Sort all players by hit rate for any bet to learn which players are hot and which ones got value. So stop betting in the dark and join over 30,000 users researching with Hall of Fame bets to craft more intelligent, data-driven parlays. Download the Hall of Fame bets app or visit hofbets.com and use code SGPN to get 50% off your first month today. Start researching, start winning with Hall of Fame bets. And all you audio listeners, I would come over to YouTube, man. Give us a like. You get to watch my gyrations. You get to see Joe's pretty mustache. You're missing it all out if you listen to it on Apple or Spotify.
Yep, there you go. All right, let's go top of the board, Joe. Yep. So I got a couple guys circled down here that I want to bet. I kind of want to talk it through with you guys. But Joe, why don't I kick it off with you? Let's start with just on like 20-1 and under. What guys down here maybe pique your interest in betting outright this week if you have bet them outright?
Yeah, so I have a couple guys who are around that number now. I have 22s on Ludwig and Justin Thomas from Monday. Right. So Ludwig's kind of drifted up to that number. It looks like JT now is down to 16-1.
16.
Those are my two guys. I think Justin Thomas is trending. I think he's going to notch a victory before they leave Florida. He's going to have a win. He wants a win very badly right now. He wants to capitalize on this form. I had him in 2019 when he blew a 4-stroke lead here on Sunday to JB Holmes. You had JB?
No, I had JT. No, I was in the hotel room with my pregnant wife at the time, and we were on like our baby moon, and I was sweating JT.
Oh,
And,
that was so
that
bad.
that was really horrible. Blowing a 4-shot lead to fucking smelly armpits, JB Holmes there.
And I
The
think he was the
human
only
ring.
guy in the top 10 who like Sunday played really easy that day for some reason at Riviera. And he was the only guy like over multiple 4 strokes over par, and everyone else like JB Holmes shot 1 under and beat him, chased him down.
So what happened was in the morning, it was cold. So I think they finished with the 3rd round in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
And they only had like a couple holes left, and it was cold and the wind kicked up in the afternoon. So it actually played kind of tough in the last round.
Okay.
But this is where I came up with JT is just a complete house cat, and that I'm never betting him again in really bad weather. And then he shoved it in my face a couple times, like at the Players and the PGA
Oklahoma
Championship, all those. Yeah. But that was kind of reverted back to, I think, a little bit of house cat stats. I've noticed some disturbing trends with bad weather, but I like the JT pick. That's one guy I have circled there for obvious reasons. I'm sorry, Capper, you want to go ahead?
No, I was just going to ask. So Joe, with your analysis, you're doing what I do, and you're playing armchair psychologist, right? Like he really wants to win. Everybody in this field really wants to win, right? And I worry about. Do you feel like JT like presses a little bit? Like I feel like he is the guy who presses and gets himself too tight because he hasn't won since Oklahoma.
Yeah, but like who of these guys up here isn't pressing is what I would say. Like Scotty's pressing.
Yeah.
Rory
Scotty's
can be
100%.
pressing. Rory has as much scar tissue in big events as anyone in the world right now. Xander's, it's been forever since Xander's won. Cantlay's pressing right now because he jumps out the first round. It's been forever since he won. Max Homa wants this event more than anyone. He was in tears in this press conference last year because he was saying how much it meant to him, because the year that Max Homa won this event, there was no fans, right? So it was COVID, so there was 0 fans. So he talked last year about when he lost, he was literally crying and said, I want this more than anything because I had all my family and friends here and I wasn't able to share that with them when I won. So he was so hurt by it. So like every one of these guys at the top of the board has some sort of like little mini demon, I think, that they're dealing with. And honestly, it's one of the reasons I talked to Andy that like I love Ludwig is Ludwig has no scar tissue. He has no expectation. He's not gone through the run that Scheffler's on right now where he hits everything to 12 feet and he's losing to Nick Taylor and Charlie Hoffman doing so. That builds pressure. Xander, it's been forever. He's had all these great starts and his numbers tee to green and strokes gained total are outrageous. And he hasn't really even sniffed a victory.
No, he has no. Xander, I swore Xander can't lay off at the beginning of the year. And I just think both of those guys, they just got no dog in them, for fucking lack of a better term. You know what I mean? Like they do not have that killer instinct. Although, Cantlay probably has killed people and put them in their basement. Like he has no actual killer instinct. Unless I have money on the person in front of him, and then he will come down and chase him down. Who chased down? Was it JT he chased down and beat? We had
at Sherwood?
too?
No, so it was I had JT at Sherwood, you had Rom.
Oh, that's right.
So we were going back and forth, saying like, all right, when everyone, and then Cantlay won, and then we both were miserable on that October evening. Yeah. We've had a lot of scar tissue on this show. We've been doing this quite a while.
I like that Ludwig thing about him not having scar tissue. I always say that about like young teams in other sports, right? I'm like, they're too young and too dumb to know what situation they're in. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like,
he's like putting great right now. He's putted great on POA. So he putted really well in the floors in I'm sure the other California events. And then his win on the DP World Tour came on POA. Like in November at Omega Masters. I may be getting that name wrong.
Yeah, I think it was in September. It was in Switzerland, but yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah. So those were POA greens. Like it's just like power, distance, total package. Like to me, tee to green right now, it's Scotty, it's Rory, and then it's Ludwig. And I just trust him right now to like have a lot more confidence on the greens. This would be the biggest event that he's ever been asked or tried to win by far. But I just think that this guy is for real, and I like the price.
I think will help him too. Like you said, no scar tissue. He's also young enough where he didn't see peak Tiger. Like he probably knows Tiger like I know Kyle Yastrzemski. You know what I mean? Like I never saw him play, but I hold him in high regard. But if I shook his hand, I wouldn't like freak out. I'd freak out if I shook David Ortiz's hand. You know what I mean? Because I wonder if that would help him in this Tiger tournament too. Because JT gets tight around him, and like all these other guys will get tight around him because it's Tiger.
Right.
So I wonder if he's young enough where that doesn't even affect him either. I'm talking myself into fucking Ludwig.
All right. Well, want to give the case against Ludwig. And I mentioned this earlier in our text chain. I can't recall anybody showing up to this golf course for the first time winning. And I do listen. I have a lot of respect for Ludwig's game. I agree with everything Joe said. I do think the primary defense of this golf course are the greens. And it's not just the grass type. It's just, the undulations, the slopes, the architecture of it. And I think it does take a couple times through this place to do it. I know we can reference Hovland, who immediately had success. I think Rahm immediately had success with Rory. I think he had like a T20 finish when he first started. I don't think Spieth got a great finish his first time. Morikawa was like 26. So for me, that was enough to eliminate him. But listen, everything about his game can definitely fit here. I don't have any qualms about. So that's why I'm still ranking JT ahead of him because, listen, the iron play is great. This is perfect JT weather, soft, no wind. But, I did see the tee sheet and I was anticipating him being with Tiger. And he's going to be with Tiger. That's going to be a circus. For couple of days. But who else this weather's for too? This is Collin Morikawa weather. The prime. Fans. Oh, there's fans? Okay. Yeah. There's fans. There was fans in Japan too, buddy. There's a lot of fans in Japan.
That doesn't count.
It doesn't count because you didn't watch. All right, then Keegan's win didn't count either. But listen, I've seen this movie play out over and over and over. That soft golf course, no wind, where this tournament, this weather reminds me a lot of the 2022 tournament. That was won by Neiman, where it was pretty receptive, not a lot of wind. Scoring was really good there. And Colin almost stole that 71 Neiman ticket that I had that week. And, it really gives me pause not to go back to him because I understand the iron play hasn't been all that great to start, but he had a week off. I've seen this movie with Colin over and over at this type of golf course in this weather conditions where he just ends up winning, ends up making a lot of putts. He's putt really well here. So I'm torn between him and JT. And I'm also terrified that people seem to be writing off Hovland. I've seen a lot of people fading him, but things change very quickly in golf. And what if he just went back to Florida and all it took was a little swing adjustment and he's figured it out and he's back to what he was last summer. And if he's back to what he was last summer, he's going to win this thing by 3. So that's also terrifying. I don't know if I really want to fully commit to the outright price with that, but I think people are very quickly dismissing a very small sample size without even knowing what happened down in Florida. And we've seen this burn the game in the community. For example, Morikawa ahead of the Open, where he was horrible in Scotland. He claimed that, his irons didn't interact well with the turf. He went to the title.
Who broke that fucking story? I still hate whoever that reporter is.
I don't know. He went to the Titleist truck or whatever, or the TaylorMade truck, and then he was fine. Fixing it. So I don't know. I think people are playing a dangerous game, saying how they're just out on one of the best players in the world.
He's such a short number that it's like, is the juice worth the squeeze? You know what I mean? Like when you have a guy like JT, even like he got steamed down, I still think probably, would you guys still bet him at 16? You guys got him at 27 to 20.
I still have an opportunity to bet either JT or Colin at 20. So I'm debating between those two.
So, I mean, I know you don't have to be a bomber to win here, but isn't Morikawa at a disadvantage just because longer guys do better here because the rough is whatever?
So here's the thing. Morikawa actually gains distance on the field because he hits so many fairways here. You actually go back and look at the stats. He's actually one of the leaders in driving distance at this tournament.
Okay.
So, and with the strokes gain off the team metric, I talked about this in the previous show. Distance is the primary generator towards how you do in that metric. Usually it's inverse. Usually it's mostly fairways because it has a very low fairway hit metric. But Colin drives it so well here that, and once you hit the ball in the rough here in the Kikuyu, it stops. If you keep in the fairway, though, you're going to get a lot of distance there. So that's actually helped him at this place. And he's driving the ball awesome. So, I'm torn. I mean, he's really the only shorter hitter I would actually consider betting at this place, but given his track record, given the fact that he finished runner-up in the year I'm actually referencing as similar weather conditions and golf course conditions, it's tough. I'm still going back and forth on it. Do you guys, I mean, besides Capper thinking that he's just a COVID golfer, Joe, do you have any pushback on anything I've said about Morikawa so far?
Okay, so a little bit. I guess going back to Ludwig, I do have a little pushback there as well, because two guys that I would say are very good comps, in my opinion, to Ludwig. There actually was a debutant who won in his first time here, and it was Adam Scott. I think that he shows a lot of similarities with Ludwig. And the other guy's Cam Young, finished solo second here in his very first appearance at this event. And like, he fits that mold, and sort of Victor's done it as well, of guys who are just elite ball strikers, tee to green. My only thing about Colin is, you're right. The driving accuracy, I think, is going to give him inflated distance numbers this week because of the reality of the Kuya being basically Velcro when you hit it. Yeah. But I worry about his putting. Is from 5 to 15 feet. He is 62nd in the field in those last 36 rounds out of 70 total guys. Mm-hmm. Aberg's in the top 7 of there, which is why I kind of lean that route. And he's not, like, Colin's great in terms of driving accuracy. Ludwig's not that far behind him. Like, you're talking, I'm looking at the last 36 rounds, and he's hitting 66% of fairways versus 64% of fairways, but he is well longer off the tee. So his carry distance is in the top 5 in the field. And if the carry is one of the things I'm kind of looking at here, because you'd be surprised at the difference between driving distance and carry distance a lot of places, especially a place with the rough like this. These players who have sort of deployed this bomb and gouge approach, like Victor Hovland, like Cam Young, like even Joaquin Niemann did around this place, are guys that carry it a long way off the tee. Sam Burns had a great year. He's in the top 3 in carry distance. Guys who can carry it in the air here can kind of get it down there in the Kikuyu rough versus those players who have a little lower ball flight and tend to run it up. Look, Morikawa is so good. He can win anywhere. Would it surprise me here? The other thing is, like, I dismantled Scotty last week because I'm like, you can't just have pick and choose courses where you putt really well. And I was kind of wrong on that. I believe, like, I thought he did putt pretty well in Phoenix, and he didn't repeat gaining 7 strokes, but overall it was better. Like, Colin's been really good putting here. He's been really good around the green here, 2 areas which he really struggles. So maybe that is a bit predictive, and he has something sort of figured out specifically at Riviera.
Yeah, I mean, you bring up good points as far as the driving stuff. And I mean, look, yes, he has putt really well here, but I also remember in 2021 where I think he lost like 8 strokes putting in the 3rd round. And then I immediately wrote him off. And then the next week he had a putting adjustment and he won concession. After I told the guy not to bet him at 40-1, not one of my best moments. In my career.
Changed his grip, everything.
Unfucking Yeah. Why do we bet this sport? So, all right. So I'm torn between Morikawa and JT. I'll put up my final betting card tomorrow. Capper, who are you on in this range?
So I'm not on anybody yet because I was going between JT and Ludwig. I think Joe is now convinced me on Ludwig. Plus, he's more fun to root for than JT because I don't really like JT. So,
okay. All right. Let's see. Let's move past like 30 to let's go from like 30 to like 60.
Wait, we got good guys in the 20s.
I mean, all right, fine. I have them. When I did my sheet, they still had 30 numbers. So all right, fine. We'll go 20 to 60. Okay.
Yeah.
From like speed.
Like my guy.
All right. Go ahead. Who'd you bet?
What about Burns? I mean, are we not going to go back to Burns? Good course history here. Long off the box. Can get super hot with the putter. I know he does well on Bermuda, but he's done well here. And listen, nobody was more frustrated the whole 7 through fucking 10 than I was on Sunday. But I mean, dude, 20-1 or 22. Dude, that's a fucking solid price for here. Like, he's got just as much win equity as everybody shorter on the odds boards. Yeah, I don't know why he hasn't moved. I guess I'm glad people haven't bet him. I bet him, and I'm going back to the well on Burns. I'm not even a Burns guy. You guys know that. I'm not a Burns guy, but what I saw this weekend, And talk about a guy who wants to win. He's another one who's got fire in him. Like I make fun of Burns for being milquetoast too, but that dude is a killer. Like he is a killer. When he smells it, he gets it. So yeah, I like Burns a lot, at least at the price. I like it a lot. Plus his course history is fine. And he's everything I want in a golfer here.
Okay. I mean, I'd consider Burns. I think because I think this golf course is going to be a little more gettable than most years. That I think some of his,
but he's won birdie fest.
It still isn't really a birdie fest. It's more about like being able to hit the green regulation at a slightly higher rate than most years. Yeah, and he is a little weaker in that category. I know he's been hitting his irons a little better lately, but still between 150 and 200 can be a little dicey, and that's the primary range here. And his course history, the one you're referencing, where was 2021, where he blew that lead. Yeah. Other than that, though, he's been not all that great here.
Missed a couple times.
Not all that great. So in that 2021 year, that was like an up and down fest, grinding for pars, where, you know, based on some of his metrics here, that kind of suits him. I mean, like, if I'm trying to measure Burns versus JT and like guys like Morikawa, and he just didn't quite make the cut for me. Okay. Let's see. Anything else in this range before we move on?
What about Wyndham? Wyndham's still not priced.
Yeah, I took Wyndham.
Yeah. Okay. I bet Wyndham at 45, but he's all the way down here. I also bet Wyndham as well. So Joe, why don't you?
So I got him at 40. Would you guys still bet him at 35? Right, he's 35 across the board now. So I mean, would you guys still bet him at 35? I think I still would.
I got him at 40 as well. I would really. I mean, 35. Yes, I think I would. I think he came out. And I think for probably the third consecutive week, he's the most underpriced guy on the board. I think for some reason, the sports books and the odds makers are slow to react on this guy. But at 45-1, where they release the odds, I mean, do they really think that Xander is 3 times more likely to win this event than Wyndham Clark right now? Yeah. He's playing great. I mean, obviously the course record at Pebble, would he have won that event on Sunday? And like, it's hard to back up a 60 at Pebble Beach. Probably not. There's a lot of guys chasing, but the reality is he won. And I know that he had a bad round 4 last week. But I'm getting like my days confused, but whatever day they played like 2 rounds, he was awesome and got himself right back into the tournament. Yep. He was flighting down wedges. He was hitting some with a ton of spin. He was like eyeing every single iron shot down, like he was.
That's what really that's what stuck out to me with him.
Yes,
this past weekend was the iron play and what he was doing. He was doing whatever he fucking wanted with the ball.
He wanted. Yeah, he was in total control. Yeah. And you know, he obviously has won a couple events out in California, including the U.S. Open, which was also a George Thomas golf course at LACC. So like, it's just a price thing for me. As soon as I saw like a 4 in front of his name, I'm in.
Yeah, I mean, he checks a lot of the boxes for me. He has past success here. He's long off the box. He's really good from between 150 and 200. He's been in his irons pretty good. Great around the green. That is by far the most predictive metric for any player who has success here. And also it sees a significant boost in your overall total strokes gain or how you separate yourself because, you know, over the average PGA Tour golf course. Because, you know, even if I think the green regulation rate's going to be a little higher, it's still going to be sub 60% this week. So it is going to be a big up and down gain. And obviously great putting on POA. Look, the only warning is that I actually declared last week because the round you referenced, I think it was round 1, where I caught a book napping on his total birdies he was going to have in Scottsdale in round 1. He was sitting at 2, and he still had both par 5s. He had the back 9 going, and I'm like, all right, the line was 3.5. I'm like, he's going to get to like 5 or 6. So I hammered the over there, and he was sitting at 3 after 9 holes, and then he just completely shit the bed on the back 9 there. So I went on a little tirade about how much I hate Wyndham Clark. He stole a lot of my money last year with a bunch of outrights that I had guys going second, and he stole that. He stole the Ludwig thing a couple weeks ago. So I'm his nemesis. The fact I'm on him this week might concern you because it seems like I never have success with Wyndham, but it's kind of hard to ignore. And maybe this is a way to make amends to him to bet him this week. Maybe heal some wounds that I have with him.
Fleetwood opened at a lower price. Tommy Fleetwood has never won on U.S. soil, and he opened at lower odds than a major winner and won within the last 3 weeks. Joe's right. The sports books sometimes I don't know what they're doing.
Okay, all right, Joe. How about a couple other guys you maybe bet in this range around his price.
Yeah, so I think I'm not the price I got on him, and the one guy I got earlier today. So Wyndham is my only one in that 20 to 60 range. I got one who's kind of at a lot of books down at 60, and I got him at 70 a little bit ago over at Bet Online. Ludwig Light, like cheap discount, Kmart, Walmart, roll back the price special, Nikolai Hojgaard.
Come on.
Oh man, I was tempted to.
He's the longest guy in terms of carry distance off the tee in the entire field. He's hitting it like 312 on average. He's really good at putting from like 5 to 15 feet. And he's got 2 seconds and a first in his last 6 worldwide starts. The guy won the DP World Tour Championship in November with a final round 64. Listen to these guys on the top of this leaderboard. This field strength, because it was Live and PGA Tour combined, was outrageous. Rory, Minwoo, Fitzpatrick, Hatton, Fleetwood, Rahm, Hovland. All these guys played in that event, and Hojgaard stalked them all down with the Sunday 64-1. Solo second at Torrey Pines, which I think is probably the closest comp course that I would make in terms of early in the season that we're going to have to Riviera. I mentioned the driving distance and a really good putter. Big time event. I feel much more confident the fact that he played really well in those back-to-back events on the DP World Tour and the Farmers. And like he just does a lot of things that Ludwig does really well, but at a much larger, 3.5x the price point. So that's my favorite guy sort of in that 60 to 100 range.
Yeah, I mean, that was actually the argument I was having. Like, okay, I see all this stuff with Ludwig, and I can make the same argument with Nikolai Hojgaard. I'm comparing two guys that are basically making a debut here. Although you might have led me into a different direction where I came to a conclusion with him. What led me away from Hojgaard is he is historically pretty bad around the green. You look at his overall skill set chart, really deficient. And that's like the biggest predictive metric there. Yeah. Here's the thing though, and I'm making the argument for him right now. If I think this is going to be very benign conditions, a very tamer Riviera, a lot like 2022, slightly higher green regulation rates. Maybe he's not trying to get up and down. What also I see too is he's been better the last couple tournaments around the green. Better than he's been historically been. And I remember when I made the case for Neiman in 2022, because he wasn't very good around the green either, but he was starting to get a little better. Oh, man. Do I have to add Nikolai Hojgaard to the card now?
I think you do, because when you poo-pooed him, I was just about to come back, and you just said, hey, we're going to hit more greens in regulation, which means around the green is going to be negated a little bit.
Yeah.
And listen, you're the asshole who talked me on the Nikolai when he missed the top 20. I went fucking heavy on in and out a couple weeks ago. So.
And like Morikawa, you talked about him, like he's terrible around the greens, but has been really good here. Hovland, this is last year he made big improvements, but when he debuted here and played really well those first couple of years, he was like the worst around the green guy in the field, but somehow still finished 4th here as a debutant. So I don't think he's nearly going to be career-wise that caliber player of those guys we've sort of lumped him into, but it's a long shot bet. It's been a long shot season, and who knows if it can, we keep that thing rolling. I do like his setup though for this type of course.
Okay. I can get him at 70 at Bet Online.
Yes.
All right. I'll join you. Why not?
Okay.
All right. Capper, when we shift over to you, what are a couple other guys you maybe bet in this range?
So I really haven't bet anybody else in this range. I did my Monk, and I stayed away from fucking Keegan, even though this is a long iron course and he's straight and long off the box, and 55-1 for a guy who plays as well as he does. It's kind of insulting. With Jason Day being probably shorter than him. I stayed away from him. Cole's too short. I hate Henley. Kitayama, I have no fucking clue how he finished as high as he did last week, because every time I saw him on TV, he was hitting off a cat path.
He putted the lights out last week, but he's been kind of flushing his irons too.
He's been good.
Yeah. So I just went with Clark, and then I was kind of waiting to hear what you guys wanted to say. So Hojgaard, I can still get at 65 on a local, so I might join you on that. I didn't bet Keegan, as he's not even on my shadow bet, which means people should probably bet him, because that's ultimate pain for me when he wins and I don't bet him. So like the Travelers. I don't know, man. I don't like Decky here. with whatever he's lost ball speed and coming off the box. And
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm never a Denny guy. Corey Connors is like what Colin Morikawa light, right? Hits a bunch of fairways. I never trust his putting. Oh, okay. So here's somebody I bet. So I bet Goober at 95-1.
You gotta explain who Goober is to everybody. You can't just.
Oh, sorry, Harris English. So I bet Harris English at 95-1. He's got he played well here last year when he was just recovering off his fucking injury. He's a guy who can get hot and go, and he's trending in the right direction. He's been playing a little bit. I think top 15 last time he was out. I don't know. He's just an older veteran type guy who I would not be shocked to see him in the chase on Sunday. I just wouldn't. Like, I just feel like this is definitely a course that he could dominate, and 95-1. Like, yeah, I like that a lot from the Goober.
Okay. All right. Couple other guys I bet in this range. Well, I mean, one guy is no longer in this range, but last week I was on Ben On and I was horrified with how badly he got steamed up, and I knew it was screwed.
Yeah,
and I've been on Adam Scott the last 2 weeks, so I kind of felt obliged to bet him one more time, and I'm kind of horrified with how much he's been steamed up here. But I'm on at 45-1. Like, what is he sitting now? Like 30, like sub 30 on some books. I probably would not bet that at that point. But look, I mean, the argument for Adam Scott, he's been great here. He's hitting his irons really good lately. I mean, if you want to bet him at 28-1, fine. I saw Matt Fitzpatrick dip to 50-1 briefly today, and I kind of decided to bite the bullet there. I tracked him pretty closely last week. I didn't bet on him. Well, actually, I bet him on underdog in round one for under green and regulation, and he was just killing it. He was striping the ball, and then the bad weather kind of hit. He kind of got to let it get away from him. He still finished respectable. I think he's kind of close to putting together some really decent rounds with his irons. I was impressed by at least what I saw out of him, and he's been, okay here. Obviously, really good around the green, good putter. If he can get that irons, play a little better. I thought 50-1 was a fair price. And then again, I felt like I had to go back to Kirk Kitayama. I had him last week at 100-1. I got him 100-1 again this week. This is kind of just obliged to go back to him based on he's been playing well. Nothing that he did last week really is going to dissuade me. He's 100-1. Let's go back to him. Okay.
Can I ask you guys about one bet?
Sure.
Yeah, come on.
Top 20 plus 333.
Oh, these are my top 20 bets.
This is at BetMGM. BetMGM pays out full if you tie. So there's they don't split it. So plus 333, top 20 bet, Eldrick Woods. Any chance you think that's a decent bet?
Oh man,
70-man field,
Capper, why don't you go first?
I don't know if I could pull the trigger on it. I don't think I could. 3-1. Listen, if he gets it, I'll be happy for him, right? Like whatever, and then hopefully I'll get more eyeballs on golf. But man, I don't know. I know he looks good, like on his practice swings and everything that social media puts out, but it's still fucking 4 days on a golf course, walking around. I'm gonna pass on plus 333.
I actually saw the complete opposite today on his swing. He was a mess apparently.
So I didn't see anything today, but I'm just leading up to it. Like he looked good. Like I don't know, man. Like plus 333. That's a good number, but the books. The books are just trying to get money in on that shit.
That's why I don't feel like they need to lift it that high though to get like people would want to bet him.
They bet at 2-1. They bet at 2-1.
Like he's there with Kuchar and Ben Griffin and Taylor Moore. Like they really have showed him that they have no confidence that he's going to play well this week.
All right,
I guess whatever. Just throw $50 on it to make 150, and you get to root for Tiger. Plus, because you're going to see him all fucking weekend. He's never going to be on TV. So at least you got a guy who you have money on that you're actually going to watch a shot of.
All right. I'm on record of being hard out on this new swing of Tiger. Everybody wanted to talk about his off the tee numbers at the Hero World Challenge. It was 20 guys trying to measure the average there, and half of them were just on there for a free vacation, drunk half the time. All right. So everything else was pretty rusty about his game. I don't really love the fact he can't use the ground anymore to generate power. It's all upper body. Maybe that's why he had some of the swing issues I saw today, because he's trying to flip it and time it. And it's hard out on Tiger right now. I'm glad he's back. I'm glad he's playing. I'm glad he's going to, give the PGA Tour a bump in ratings this week. But no, I don't really expect much. I'm a little worried that he's going to be one of the 12 guys that missed the cut.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
That'd be embarrassing.
That would be very embarrassing for him. Let's see. I mean,
we're long shots now.
I don't really think there's. I mean, for positionals, Patrick Rogers had a horrible Pebble Beach. Before that, he was okay, and he's long. He's decent here. He's okay between 150 and 200. He putts well in POA. That could work. The aforementioned Taylor Moore, he did all right last week. He's got some pop. I've seen his name bat around. I've seen his name bat around a little bit this week.
So I got him at
okay.
5-1 for a fucking top 20 versus Tiger.
Okay.
I was very happy with the 5-1 more top 20.
Okay. That could work. Otherwise, though, I haven't had a very good PGA Tour betting season. I kind of tried to keep it a little tight this week with my betting cards.
Steve, that's not how we get money back. You have to double down every week. That's how this works.
I am. I'm betting my guys, but I'm trying I'm trying to maybe limit my imagination for a little bit.
Guzzling bookies isn't for everybody. I know.
Yeah, there you go. All right. I got nothing else. Joe, thank you very much.
No, wait, what long Joe? I know Joe's got some fucking long shots. I know we're at now, but I want to hear Joe's long shots. I know he's got
I did take you kind of buried him in your take there, Capper, but I did take Kurt Kitayama 110-1.
Let's go.
Listen, I think he's the only one last year over 100-1 that won a signature event.
Yeah. He stole my money. I'm aware.
And he's playing pretty well right now. I've kind of a lot of these, I have a lot of top 20s that I like a lot, especially with the shortened field. I feel like we're getting pretty good prices this week. I like Denny McCarthy 2.5-1, plus 250 to finish top 20. This dude, the course fit you would not think would be great, but he top 10 here last year. He plays the two toughest events, I think, usually, if you scale out 10 years and see average score, are probably this and Memorial. And he plays both those events really well. He was in a playoff last year at Memorial. He's played good at U.S. Opens. He played pretty good at LACC. I like my boy Denny. I'll ride 2.5-1 on the top 20.
So, Joe, when you come on here, people, they should be familiar with it, but you endorsing Denny is like me endorsing Keegan. It needs to be.
We all got our favorites, man.
At the bottom. A disclaimer that says, "I bet this loser all the time. I love him," and that's it.
That's it. That's all there is to it. I'll make the T-shirt.
All right, there you go.
Devin Price with the all-time comment so far. By the way, does anyone like Gesundheit? That was.
Is that Bezadenhout?
I named Bezadenhout that fucking forever ago.
Yeah.
He's been playing all right lately, but that's been a lot of wedge fests he's been doing well at. So,
yeah.
Who else you got long shot? Anybody else, Joe?
Nope. I took Hojgaard and Kitayama right now. Those are my two that are over 70-1.
All right.
All right. Well, Joe, thank you for joining us. Give a couple plugs. Where can we find you? Tell everybody where they can see all your content.
RotoBaller
now. Tour Picks on Twitter or X, whichever you prefer to call it. And the Preferred Lines podcast is my weekly show, available now. I had our boy Andy Lack on this week to talk Riviera. That full episode is out now on YouTube if you just search for Preferred Lines, or it's also available, wherever you get your podcast if you want the audio version. So appreciate you guys as always having me on. We'll get you guys. I would love to have you return sort of the favor soon. And it was awesome to talk to you guys this week.
All right. Giuseppe, appreciate it. Steve, you got anything else?
No, that's it. That concludes a very busy stretch for the podcast. I'm looking forward to taking a little bit of a break.
I know. We got no football on Thursday, no live, no nothing. We got a week off.
Well, we got basically a week off next week, too, because it's the Mexico Open down at Vedanta. That field is going to be horrible.
Tony Finau and call it a fucking day. 4-1.
Batia wins in Mexico.
There you go. Back to the narrative where he only wins in honeymoon locales. So I'll do that stuff. All right, I got nothing else, Capper.
I got nothing else either. Listen, go guys. Use promo code golf SGPN for underdog. It's golf's the only cool thing to bet right now, other than hockey. So go do that. Plus, we're trying to beat every other podcast on the network, and I like to win. So let's go crush those guys. And other than that, talk to you on Sunday. That's it. Later.